Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Nancy Lee, and today I will be presenting my research on parental ethnic racial socialization and how that buffers the link between ethnic racial discrimination exposure and separation anxiety in Latina youth. All right, so to start off, strict immigration enforcement policies and discriminatory rhetoric about immigrants are known to negatively impact the psychological well-being of youth and immigrant families. Specifically for Latinx youth in particular, fear of immigration enforcement and discrimination exposure can lead to separation anxiety symptoms. However, it is less clear whether parental ethnic racial socialization strategies may protect against the mental health costs of ethnic racial discrimination. So in our current study, this addresses this gap by examining the indirect influences of Latinx parents' ethnic racial discrimination exposure and ethnic racial socialization strategies to separation anxiety in their daughters. So here we focused on 3 variables of interest, the first being parent discrimination exposure, the second being educational socialization, the third being child separation anxiety. So for our first variable of interest, parent discrimination exposure, we sampled 153 Latinx parents about their own experiences of ethnic racial discrimination. Our second variable of interest is educational socialization, where parents also reported on a scale called the LIFS, which is also known for the Latino Immigrant Family Socialization Scale, which assesses the frequent use of educational socialization strategies. So parents asking their children, talking to their children about like immigration status, nativity, or citizenship. Our last variable of interest is child separation anxiety, where parents reported on their daughter's separation anxiety symptoms. And what we found here is just a quick descriptive statistics of our 3 variables of interest. Sorry about the image, it's not supposed to be like that, but it has my mean and standard deviation there. Here we also ran a bivariate correlation for our 3 variables of interest, and we found that there's 2 positive correlations between parent discrimination exposure to child separation anxiety, as well as parent discrimination exposure on educational socialization. According to a moderation analysis that we used and controlling for children's age, we found a significant mean effect on educational socialization strategies. As you can tell, on the x-axis, there's a parent discrimination exposure, and on the y-axis, it's child separation anxiety. So you can see that there's a positive general trend as increase of parent discrimination exposure also increases child separation anxiety. However, this positive association tend to grow much weaker as for those children whose parents reported higher levels of educational socialization. So in this case, parental educational ethnic racial socialization strategies moderated this link, such as parent discrimination exposure positively predicted child separation anxiety at low and mean levels, but not high levels of ethnic racial socialization. We also ran an independent sample t-test to see whether there's any differences between mothers and fathers' usage of educational socialization strategies, but we found no significant use. All right, so in conclusion, the current findings suggest that educating Latinx youth about, for example, nativity, immigration status, or citizenship is a valuable ethnic racial socialization strategy that may protect against anxiety in the face of ethnic racial discrimination. And ongoing work now examines these links with respect to children's experiences of discriminations and their subjective perceptions of their parents' ethnic racial socialization strategies. That's all I have for you today. I also want to thank the members of the Kind Lab and our participating families, and specifically Dr. Kalina Michalska and my grad mentor, Jordan Mullins. That's all I have for you today. Yes.
I asked a similar question before regarding variables that would affect the parents' decision to implement low versus high levels of socialization. But we have touched on levels of discrimination. Yes. But I'm also curious on your take on what other variables may exist that affect the parents' strategy towards educating their child.
Yeah, good question. So here we just moderated the link between educational socialization strategies, but there can be other moderators such as like parenting styles So like, for example, helicopter parenting, if that affects separation anxieties in their daughters. So I think that also is a quite interesting topic to research about as well. But for here, we just focused on the educational socialization strategies. Yeah, good question. Yes.
Is there a reason why you guys didn't look at like income compared to the socializing aspect to see like if those who had high income would be the ones who have put their kids more socialization?
Yeah. Yeah, so for our variables of interest, so for example, the parent discrimination exposure, we've asked them to do a self-report survey. We've also asked about their income, but we didn't specifically focus on that. We just made sure we focused on the Latinx community, specifically not on income. Yes.
You noted that you looked at 153 parents. That's a very large number.
This
Large
event
sample
is,
size.
yes.
Congratulations for that. But question, does that include 153 families or just parents specifically?
Families. So we
love
yes, it's really big. So we collected 153 via like Facebook pages. So we promote our lab through there, and then as well as like via cold calling. So we would call them to see if they're interested. Yes, so it is a really big. It includes 153 families, including just the mothers, the primary caregivers, as well as their daughters.
Right. That was the second question. Were you looking at just mothers or also fathers as well?
Yeah, so we also looked at mothers and fathers. I don't know if I can go back as well.
And you think that would affect any of the results?
Yeah, so we ran an independent sample t-test. A majority of the primary caregivers are mothers, but we also tested on fathers. But there is no significant difference between the education and socialization strategies. But yes, we both did include both mothers and fathers in the study.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you.